Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Midwest Talk. Today we have Lynn does investing and Jack's business talk. Dylan and Frank won't be with us this week.
I know they're off this week. I want to wish Frank a happy birthday. It's
Yeah,
today.
happy birthday, Frank.
You'll be missed. But yeah, today's topic or this week's topic, I think Jack was bringing it up earlier, is how to manage contractors from far away. And I think he was telling me because he is on site, he invests in his backyard. It's easier for him to check the quality of the work, and much of the work actually is done by him.
Yeah. So I was getting asked that during the Western PA accountability meeting, and I was or poor Trey Better 99 was hosting it, and he hasn't really had too many out of state projects yet. So like they're asking him and he passes it off to me and I'm just like I don't know. I do like the bulk of the work myself because my my personal general rule is if I can find someone that can match my quality that costs somewhere between 2 and 3 times what it costs me to do it myself, then I'm going to hire the contractor because then I'm buying time freedom. But if I can't or but if in a lot of cases it ends up being like I went through something recently, it was almost I think it was a deck that I want to put on to Cynthia's place. Okay, it will cost me 2 grand to do the deck. The cheapest quote I had was $12,000, and it's just like no, I'm doing the deck myself then. But
Yeah, that's
that
astronomical.
yeah, so that's just a prime example of now, if they would have said 5K, I'd have been like, yeah, go ahead, do the deck.
Right, right. No, that makes sense. I think that if you're diving into your first project out of state and you're planning to do a fix and flip or a burr, then you are going to have a big steep learning curve. Not only because, I mean, Jack, you know much about construction and repairing and fixing, but the regular person like me, like we don't have that much of a background and understanding how like trades and what comes first and what costs more. But while studying for the rest of you learn that the big ticket items like a roof, right? A furnace, water heater, those things like all new flooring. Those are kind of big ticket items. And I think for your first project, you definitely, this is just my opinion, definitely have to start with something that's not as huge, something that's like not going to be like total gut rehab, everything like not like utilities are not on per se. And that in itself, like it's just such a big project. There's just going to be so many steps to put on your scope of work, which is one of the things that I really learned. How to manage was a scope of work, even, that comes after finding the contractor that you want to use. But one of one of the advices I have is find contractors that have worked with investors before. If you're just calling out blindly people, it's really hard for you to assess over the phone who has had a good quality of work in the past or ethics unless you get referrals. So that
Hmm.
would be one of the m most advantageous advice that I could give you is like you have to find somebody that somebody else is vouching for.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. And going back to what you said earlier, it's easy to find. I'm joking about this. It's easy to find. I'm joking about being serious at the same time. It's easy to find a contractor that can make a hole in the wall, and then make a bigger hole in the wall, and pretty soon it's enveloped or it's incorporated a whole entire wall or even a whole entire room, and now is a way bigger project than it really should have been because they couldn't they don't know how to fix the hole.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then when you find a contractor, I always like to get three bids on every job, every like big job, not like something small, but every big job to try to trick quotes because then you're gonna have more of an idea of like what actually the market rate of whatever your scope of work is looking like. And then if there's like a big difference, then you'll know like what is the big difference for. Like if you talk to the contractor, they'll be like, well, what is actually what you're charging me for? Like now I know what it costs to change a water heater, what it costs to change a
Hmm.
furnace, what it costs to lay floor, what it costs to paint walls. Like now because I've done it so many times. But if you're guesstimating now on your head and then all of a sudden there's like $5,000 more on labor, so then you can differentiate who's charging you for labor as well as another tip that I have is just like you have to have somebody that walks the property that's a third party that is not your contractor that is somebody boots on the ground or somebody that you may be paying like you may strike up a agreement with your realtor, if your realtor is an investor and if he can walk it after, or even an inspector, a home inspector that you're paying for their time just to say, just to go and check on the progress of the and the quality of the work, right? As well.
Yeah, yeah. So for you, what's the order that you like to work in, like hire your contractors out?
So I now had experience with three different major contractors, and all of them have like the strengths and the flaws, which you're gonna come to accept. One of them, for example, doesn't work as fast, and another one works very fast. It has a lot of crews, but he's more expensive. So
Uh,
then you have your give and take. Uh, and particularly that. And then not all contractors I married the same. Some contractors do need like an additional electrical contractor, which would be an additional fee because they don't have that under the belt as well, like to pull up big permits, for example. And some contractors don't come with their own engineering, so they will have to like also outsource that engineering if you're like throwing out plans or changing the layout of the house, and then you need an engineering permit, then I will have to pull out that engineering permit. So those things are the things that I run into right now. But I think the most important thing aside from picking your contractor would be like writing that scope of work. And in the beginning of my journey, I didn't know how to do that. I definitely had the advantage of my property manager. Her husband is a construction, he used to work in construction, and he's very good at writing scope of work. So the first scope of work I ever looked at was one of his, and he likes to do it by rooms. So he would write down what the exterior needs first, then it would write down the porch, if the porch needs any work, then interior would be living room, kitchen, bedroom one, bedroom two, bathroom, and even after that, he would have additional work. So he will go by room and that will include that, like, paint, patching, all the holes, trimming, all of that stipulated, install like new plates for the outlets. There's 6 outlets in the living room, that would be all included. Changing light fixtures will be included. If there's a flooring that needed to be repaired or refinished, for example, we have a lot of wood flooring that we can just sand down and repair and then it would be, just like new, or do we have to install new flooring, right?
mhm.
And move on to the kitchen. Do kitchen cabinets need to be taken out, demo, or the kitchen cabinets are fine? We can just sand them and paint them. Our counters not crack. Can we keep existing counters or replace the counters? Outlets like fixture, again, paint, trim, patching holes. Make sure all plumbing is like checked for. There's no leaks under. Yeah, very much detail on your scope of work.
One of one of my favorite cost saving things I like to do on my rentals. I haven't really offered this out to anyone, but when it comes to cabinets and stuff, as long as they're solid or as long as they're wood based, like older style, which in my area there's a ton of. If they're MDF, I'm sorry, they're coming out. If there's any problems with them, they're coming out. I'm not bothering fixing them.
Hmm.
But if they're wood, So what I'll do is a lot of times they're just very old doors. Like they're very dated. They're not hung right. They're not slow close. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll install the extra piece of like wood on the inside that's thick enough that I can install slow close. And I'll recut all the doors and I'll do shaker style doors and I'll paint the boxes and then I'll go ahead and paint the doors. And what I like to do to make it seem more modern and festive, I'll what I'll do is I'll get cabinet grade paint and I'll paint usually like the cabinet. Usually I do the box is white because I'll do a bluish gray wall and I'll do just a straight gray like for the doors.
Yeah.
Or I did one time and I really liked this and I was playing around. Like I shouldn't have stuck it in the rental one of my rentals, but I really wanted to try this. So the reason why I was doing this is because I used to work in a cabinet shop and I saw the guy I worked for, he did one time. I thought it looked really cool. He got they call it running glass, if you know what that is.
No.
So running glass is it's made to look like older glass and it has like imperfections and like runs in it. And I put that in with a the stripping of like a little bit of stripping around the side and gave it like that old like an old authentic like
Oh
almost
yeah. Like a stained
like old
glass kind of.
yeah like Western like window looking appeal but for your cabinets. And I thought that looked really cool. And I
Mm.
put like little lights inside the cabinets. It looked like I don't know why. I think I just wanted to challenge myself on this because, like, by no means did this add any value at all. Like, I just wanted to challenge myself and see if I could still do it.
Hmm.
And yeah, it turned out real fantastic. And to be honest, I would love to do it again. I really had fun with that project, but I want to do it in my own. I don't want to do it in a rental.
Yeah. I think it's very smart, like when you said to if your cabinets are in good state and then they're just like sturdy wood, and instead of like ripping them off and changing them for like the newer stuff that we have, which is like less durable now, um
Uh-huh.
it's easier for me to like sand it down, and even if like let's say the doors are too old, even just replace the doors if it's just if it's like an actual nice cabinet, old style, old wood, everything, right? But I have plenty of rehabs in which I just sanded down and paint them, and they were just look like just like new.
Yeah, even doing a face a reface on them will save you so much money because nowadays I don't even pull the cabinets off the walls to really do a reface. I'll just very easily pull the face off and then I'll Craig jig the whole thing together
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
I'll paint it there. And I'm not sure if you run into this problem in Gary. I'm sure you do, but here in Pittsburgh, the floors are all wonky. Nothing's ever level. So what I started doing about a year or two ago is instead of making the kick plate part like the whole like kick plate box part of the cabinet system, I make it individual, its own separate thing. And what I do is I create the box with the supports and stuff like you normally would, but then I create like like the screw feet like you see on tables and restaurants and stuff, how it screws out and adjusts in levels. I'll do that, and then I'll drill a hole through the bracket and run it and tap it and run a set screw through it. And that way I can get it perfectly flush and mounted perfectly. And because when I install the kick plate, you're not going to see that box at all anyway. And now I got a cabinet that's flush and perfect versus trying to sit there for days with shims and trying to get it all right, where I can get it done in really just I can get it done in like like 3 or 4 hours.
Mm. I don't think I've done this granular of a observation, but I don't think I run into uneven flooring that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like most of my rentals do have all wood floors. That's what I And when they do, I kept them. The only ones I have not kept, I think it's been like bedrooms that used to be carpet that had a bunch of
Mm.
nails that I put new flooring onto.
Yeah, I still keep carpeting in the bedrooms, and I don't know, it hasn't come to bite me yet, but like I am very much expecting it to come and get me at some point. But I don't know. It's like for some reason it's like I buy rentals, the carpeting's there, the carpeting 9 times out of 10 is fine.
Mm,
So if it's fine, I just leave it in there. If it's not, I rip it up and just do LVP.
hmm. Yeah, I think I only had one rental in which we had carpet that was fine. The other ones were like not great. Like we need to rip that out.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten lucky and all the carpeting's been fine, except for the renovation project I'm gonna be working on over the winter. That one's gonna, yeah, that one's gonna be. I haven't decided if the whole upstairs is gonna go down to studs or what. I'm kind of torn because it's like I can get around not tearing it down to studs, but I'm not sure how much extra work I'm causing myself by not doing that. So I don't know.
So you have a rehab going on right now?
I'm gonna try, or it's going and it's not going at the same time. So like I'm not currently working on it. I'm waiting for a couple things to happen, and then I'm going to come back in the winter to finish it.
Yeah.
I want to get the exterior stuff done.
Okay. When you have more time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like if you're thinking about if you're out of state and you're thinking about doing a a project where you're gonna do extensive rehab, try to like start writing a scope of works that you may notice in your own home, like in your own apartment, right? Like if you don't know much about construction, like Jack does, and I do, like notice that when you come into a room, notice how many light fixtures there are, notice how many outlets there are, notice like the trimming and the walls. And then when I get like a new project or a new house, I definitely get a walkthrough video from my realtor, but I also get pictures per room. And I like to have the pictures look specifically at the floor and the ceiling to see like how much of even to see like just if there was any leakage, from the roof or anything like that. And your inspection, whenever you do an inspection, that should also be a starting point from noticing like what are the things that are sticking out to the inspector that you need to jump on right away that may be a safety concern. Like recently, I just got an inspection done on a property that's I actually walked. This is the first property I walked before I put an offer in. So after 3 years of investing out of state, and to me, it looked pretty much rental ready, aside from like maybe reglazing of the bathroom. But in inspection, they noticed missing flashing between the roof, between
Mm.
the shingles and the roof. So in the inspection, I know I'm gonna have to take care of that like right away because it snows and it rains in Indiana. And then so that's going to create leakage in the roof. So I need to, when we close, which is going to be like in a couple weeks, I need to get that repaired right away before winter comes. Winter is coming.
It is definitely coming. If you haven't seen our prior video about preparing for winter, you guys need to go check that video out as well.
Yeah, you like how I made that connection?
But yeah, I think realistically, I'm take get yourself when you walk into a place, okay, or pay a contractor, and I would suggest setting yourself up with like a lumberjack landlord binder. Okay, so like what he does is he goes in and he measures the footage of each room, so he can more or less just pull out a 3 ring binder and be like, okay, this room is this many square feet. I can now know that I need this much paint, this much flooring. What type of molding he'll record, how many outlets are in there, where they're at on the walls, how far in, and he does that for each room, each style, like pictures to help illustrate what he's talking about as well. And if you do that for every room and the exterior, you should know exactly what's going on in that house.
Mm-hmm. And then if you have the community, like we have a contractors in our community that I used many times for like different things, just ask the question, right? If you get a hold of like even Jack or I and you send us a message, we probably gonna give you some thoughts of like who it's ripping you off and who's not.
Hmm.
But yeah, like Jack says, like ChatGPT is my best friend. I think like when you can look up what is the cost of a water here, it's very easy to see. Like you can go on Home Depot and see how much it's gonna cost, and then from that to what like the labor of like the person that's gonna do it, you're able to deduct from the quote like how much they're charging you for per labor, and then that's going to be on your mind to see like is that fair or do you think that's too high or that's too low? But even then, on ChatGPT would be like, what is the average cost of laying floor on Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or it's specifically in your zip code even, right? And then they'll give you an
Yeah.
average, what's the low end, what's the high end. And I would definitely want to be somewhere in the middle, right? I don't want to pay top dollar for laying floor as opposed to like I also don't want somebody that's gonna charge me $1 per installation. Like that's kind of like what kind of job are you gonna do? Like have you ever like laid down floor before? Like it's actually more intricate than that, especially if you know how the floor like you said, like in your part of the area floors are not even. So that has more work than just, new construction laying down flooring. How easy would that be?
Hmm. I like to with flooring, anything with LVP and stuff. I like to at least get like an 8 millimeter. Because it's like anything thinner than that. Oh, and with like a rubber backing, like that way it helps keep it from sliding around and stuff. And you want to make sure it's a nice, good, solid, smooth, flattish surface. Like you don't want any ravines and divots and stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, just take your time on the installation. I mean, a lot of this stuff is very easy to do.
Hmm. Yeah. And then sometimes you're gonna learn new things. Like I just recently learned, like for example, this is in my backyard, not even in Gary, but we had an agreement with the contractor to lay down LVP in the bathroom, but last minute I changed my mind and I decided to do tile
Hmm.
because I think it's just gonna be more durable in the bathroom. And it's not a big bathroom, it's like a 5 by 6 bathroom, so it's very small. Um, and then so because I decided to do it last minute, the contract has stipulated that the contractor was gonna lay down the LVP, purchase the LVP, lay down the LVP. So I just threw tile at the last minute, right? And then I purchased the tile. So in my mind, I thought I purchased the tile, so the labor is going to be whatever LVP and labor was going to be. So I'm not going to have to pay anything extra per labor because I'm providing the material. So in my mind, that was like, okay, we're even. So we didn't discuss further, right? But then I got a invoice for like $600 for laying down the tile. And then I was like, what is this about? Like I purchased the product. Um why can't just that we be even? And then I started talking to Jim and I started to Frank, and then I realized that labor for tile is different than labor for a VP. And then
Hmm.
so in that calculation, I came to realize that it's actually not just like a 1 day or 4 hour work. It takes like one or two, specifically if you're laying down the membrane that goes between the tile and just regular concrete flooring, which also has an added cost. That in itself is different, right? So I'm learning as I go as well.
Yeah, and especially if they had to go and pick that up and all that.
Yeah, well, I in my brain, I was just like, it's just a swap.
So I think, and you can correct me if you're wrong, but like I was thinking, what do you think is the best order for operations? Obviously, you're going to start with demo,
Yeah, roof and demo at the same time.
and then set the house on fire, and you're done. No,
No,
no.
roof and demo at the same time, and demo should have its own like section there because then you have to guesstimate how many times you're gonna have a dumpster. So
Mhm.
because every time they bring the dumpster there's a cost to the contractor. So if he's like saying like this is gonna take two dumpsters and that's stipulated in the contract, and at the end of the day it took three dumpsters, let's say, for like everything, then that's not a cost that you're gonna have. And then that would be, after that would be rough electrical, rough plumbing, HVAC, and even when that's done, which I assuming depending on where you are, you probably would have an inspection. That's when I would issue payment per se. So after
Yeah,
inspection.
yeah, and as the rough electrical and plumbing is going on, if you're going to do exterior work, like let's say reside a house for some reason, you decide you're going to reside a house, that would be a good time to do that. And also to try and dress up the property to be like, oh, people are there, they're working, and look at the new owners, they're doing all this work. I would do any of your landscaping during the roughing phase as well, because the two aren't really going to conflict with each other, and you're going to really dress up the property. So when you do, it does go up for rent. It's already, people have already seen how nice it looks and how beautiful it is. It's not like you're saving for the very end as you're trying to rent it. But
Yeah.
like it's had some good face time of being nice and pristine on the outside.
Yeah. And if you're doing any type of framing too, that's at the same time as the
Yeah.
raw electrical, uh, which hopefully you're not. But that's more of a big job. But if any like knockdown of a wall or something, then you're reframing like the space of the closet or the bathroom or whatever. Which that costs a lot. Try to not change the layout of the house. Try to keep it as the layout is, or purchase as layout is.
I try to change the layout of a place. It's just there's a square footage to have to put a second bedroom in there, but it's just like it doesn't matter what you do, you can't get the second bedroom in there.
But it is harder than you think to just reconfigure the layout of the house. So it's easy
Well,
to add
this,
a wall, but to knock down a wall and reconfigure the layout, that's hard.
yeah, like this apartment is very weird looking. So like you walk in the front door and you can go straight through you're not, you're in the living room, you can go straight into the kitchen. And when you're in the kitchen, you can go right or left. If you go right, you go into the washing room. If you make a left, you go into the bedroom. And when you're in the bedroom, you can loop yourself back into the li or so you can loop yourself back into the living room. If you go
Mm,
to the right and you're in the washing room, you can go into the bathroom and loop yourself back into the living room. So it's a weird figure eight.
mhm.
And there's just nothing I could do. Like I actually thought about like, well, what if I get rid of the washroom and I shove the kitchen over there? And I was like, and then we have two flights of stairs with bad parking. And I was like, I'm just creating a hat trick of not making this rentable.
Yeah, yeah. And it's hard. And then you're always trying to like tap into the potential. I've seen so many houses that are like 900 square feet or 950 square feet and they're two bedroom, right?
Mhm.
And for me, in my mind, I'm always thinking trying to squeeze another bedroom in there. But some layouts are just not doable for that. Some layouts are, right? Some layouts are like have an extra like flex space and like it's easy to like close that down and add a door, and then that's good. But some are not. So instead of like it's wasting money or like trying to add like two walls and break down another wall, that I'm just like I'd rather just leave it as a two bedroom, which um it would just be as rentable as a two bedroom and just like extra space, which whatever. And then also, I haven't been lucky on adding rooms and basements yet because of the egress window height difference that I have to have from the ground up and
Yeah.
the low ceilings as well. So not don't assume because we're investing in Midwestern areas with basements that it's kind of easy to do all of those things that you see. It's not the easiest, and it might not be just as reciprocal in terms of cash flow, right? Like if I'm renting a two-bedroom, one bath, which in my market, people say that they don't rent out. They do rent out. So far, I have no problems renting out two-bedroom, one bath, smaller houses. um, I might just get paid like $150 more for a three-bedroom in that same area. So is it really worth it that I add $30,000 for an additional bedroom on the ground floor on the basement? Not really. It doesn't seem like it's a fair trade.
Well, plus two, and like I don't know about Gary, Indiana. It may be different, but like here in Pittsburgh, oh, an acorn hit my windshield. Um, but like our basements are notorious for always having water come in. So it doesn't matter what you do, you're gonna have water coming in. And honestly, I'm kind of, if it wasn't for the fact that every single place had a basement, I'm kind of at the point where it's just like I'm almost at the point where it's just like I would rather buy properties without basements if it wasn't for the fact that the furnace and the water heater is a great place to put all that stuff in the washroom and stuff. But I'm very quickly just getting tired of having to deal with water issues and the newer generation, the younger generations, they're all like, well, my parents' place, they had had a living space down there, and we used to play video games and everything else, and I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, yes, but after anything before pre 1995 was never designed to be a considered living space. So anything before that, which is why you're renting a house from the 1800s, is not going to be livable space. It doesn't matter what I do.
Yeah.
And, and even then, like you ask them about it, and it's just like it's a game room. It's like, okay, so there probably was actually water down there. It's just concrete, and the water ran in, and they just don't remember because the ability to block things out as a child is amazing. It's just mystical and magical.
I don't know. I feel like I never had a rosy colored glasses for my childhood. But other people seem to reminiscent. Um, but yeah, although like take everything into consideration, and my our markets are obviously different as well. A little bit similar, but different too. Like I don't think I have as much water issues in our basement, but I know there are some areas of Gary that do have a lot of water issues. Like my property manager just sent me a video of like an overflowed basement, and it's like crazy. I wish I could like share it here because you're like, what do you even do? Like other than just look at the water, you know, over here. But um yeah, do you have any? Well, I think one of the things that are here in our community a lot is that they have a lot of problems getting replies from contractors. What do you say about that? I think that's also in your area as well as my area.
They're just so slammed. And honestly, I don't even know exactly what to say because it's like that's part of the reason why I end up doing so much of my own work is because I reach out to contractors. I give them 3 or 4 weeks. I don't hear back. By that point, I can't really wait any longer. I have to start the project. I end up just doing it myself because I can't keep waiting. And that's honestly why I'm very, very seriously. I'm probably in like the 90% range of next year starting my own handyman business
Hmm.
and work with people from the ORAC community, especially because it's just your response time with contractors is going to be so ridiculous that I can get in there and do stuff a lot quicker. I just feel bad for one person who's using me right now, and it's just like I literally only have like one day a week to go over there and get stuff done. I'm just like, I'm so sorry.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's the same in my market too. And then um I sometimes wait around for contractors too. because they are so slam, and but I know their quality of work, so I'm gonna sit there for like 3 weeks until they
Mhm.
can come and see my property, which is not ideal. Obviously, everybody's here trying to beat that clock. We're on a timeline, regardless of where your money is coming from, private money, her money, or like even you're still pretty much trying to like move things along. But I come to the realization that sometimes I'm gonna have to sit on the house 2 or 3 times, and I think that's hard for a lot of people that are getting into the game and just wanting to move along with contractors that you don't know their reputation or the quality of work. I'd rather wait for somebody that I work with and have something that's gonna be good.
I think the big thing is, okay, and it's another big thing. If you're trying to get a project to the finish line, and this is for a lot of newer investors, I wouldn't imagine you would do this, but don't be adding bigger changes. And
Yeah.
it may seem minute towards the end of the project. And I'll give you a prime example. Don't wait until you're 90% of the way through the project and be like, I don't like this door and I think we should change the windows. Well, you know what? Just to get them on site might be 2 months.
Hmm.
Like you need to have those decisions finalized before you basically start.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's also hard to give up power of something that you think you could done better, or you could have, you know, thought of it better too. Like you have to give up some of that control when you're managing out of state.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah. That's why you got boots on the ground.
Right. Hmm. And then at the end of the day, it's like you have to, like, you want to put the best product out there too, but you also have to consider this is going to be a rental and it's not going to be taken care of as much as how somebody who owns the house would take care of it, right? So you have to have that in your mind. This is going to be worn down. So treat it like it is going to be worn down.
Yeah, and I would add to that too, because I made this mistake in the beginning, and I still sometimes too, and Cynthia helps keep me grounded on this. Don't over improve a project. Like, for example, I was talking about the windows, the running glass, and those fancy those doors and stuff. That didn't bring any extra money.
Hmm.
That was just a frivolous thing for my own challenge and stuff. But like, it wasted so much time, and there's another acorn, and it just wasted too much time. It over improved the project, and just keep to the bare basics. It's like I don't want to sound obnoxious here, but like it's just a rental. It is just a rental.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm gonna have to move. That's another acorn that hit me.
They're attacking
They are attacking me.
you. Yeah, it is. It has to be safe, it has to be livable, and it has to be functional. Those are the three metrics that you should have.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good point to end this on.
Okay.
So thanks for tuning in on this episode of Midwest Talk. You want to say goodbye?
Oh, yes. I'll say bye. I thought